Hey all, welcome to another video from e-commerce for success. So today we're going to be talking about eBay fees and the impact it has on your sales. Now this is a crucial thing because we make sales to make profit, and without understanding how the eBay fees have an impact, you can end up selling your products at a too low price or pricing it too high, which may not entice people to buy your product. The other key thing to also know is we need to understand what the minimum selling price is to cover our costs. So for example, if you're going to sell something on clearance, you don't want to be selling at too much of a loss and having to recoup the profits from somewhere else. So when you look at it, there's a lot of things to be considered when we start calculating what our sell price is. There's all different variables, so today's video is just trying to simplify that and make it easier to understand. Now, when we reorder all those different components, you can sort of see there the greens are your revenues and the reds are your costs. So you can see we start with the selling price. Then we take in the shipping price that the customer would have paid. Then would minus the eBay fee, any fixed order fee, the item costs, the shipping costs, any sponsored fees that you've paid for the eBay listing, and then any tax. And then after you've taken all those out, profit is what you're left over. Now it can be confusing and tedious trying to figure out how to work out the profit from each of the sales, but today I'll show you a bit of a tool and an Excel spreadsheet on how you can easily calculate that by punching in the right numbers. Now you can see that when we break it down a little more detailed, you can see there, as I mentioned before, selling price, shipping price, that's your first bit, that's your revenue from your sale. The key bit which influences your selling price here in eBay is the eBay fee that you have to pay, and that's a percentage based upon the category that your item is placed in. We also have the fixed order fee, which is just set no matter what transaction it is. We also have the item costs and the shipping costs. So that is what you're actually paying to acquire the item, as well as how much you're paying to ship out the item to the customer. And then lastly, you have your sponsored fee. So what you're paying for promotions and the promoted listings. Now, jumping into it, there's also some key metrics which are good to understand. Now, like I said, this is a quick overview of eBay fees, but I'll show you how we calculate it real soon. Now, if we're looking at some of the key metrics, profit margin, that's an important one you can't forget. Now, profit margin is calculated by taking the profit from the sale that you made and then dividing it by the revenue from the sale. Then times it by 100 to get a percent. Now, why is that important, you may ask? What it really tells you is essentially the amount that you'll ask the customer to pay for sales revenue, it tells you what percentage of that is actually profit. So you may have an item that's 50% profit, which you know that as soon as you sell that item, 50% of that, the money that the customer is paying, is going straight into your pocket. This is really useful when you start setting targets for your business. So if you start saying, I want to have a goal of 100,000 revenue a month, and you know your average profit margin is 10%, you know that you're going to be making $10,000 if you hit the 100,000 mark for that month. It really helps make it clear and target to your goals and what you want to achieve. The second metric, which is also key to not forget, is the return on investment. Now, this is a little bit different, but again, provides a really good insight in terms of your sales you're making. Now, return on investment is calculated by taking the profit you make from your sale and then dividing that by the item cost that you paid. Now, what this really tells you is that for every dollar that you spent buying the item, it tells you how much profit you would make. So if your return on investment was $1.50 and you spent $10 on an item to buy it, it's telling you for every dollar of that $10 you spent, you're going to make $1.50. So essentially $15 in total at the end of it. So they're two key metrics to keep in mind when you're calculating your sales profits and your selling price, and really, really good to tie into your business's benchmarking and performance, especially when you do quarterly reporting. All right, moving on from here, the next thing we're going to talk about is the minimum selling price. Now, what this means is it's a reference to the break-even price. So what is the cheapest you can sell an item without making a loss? So this is, again, when it says break even, you're literally making $0 profit. Now this is, like I said, this is really good to understand the minimum price that you can sell for. That way you know you're not making a loss, and then if you have to do clearance items, you know what you have to go close to, but not have to go below if you don't need to. Now break even price, a little more complex, but you can see the formula there. It's the item costs plus the shipping costs plus the fixed order cost. So how much you bought the item, how much you would send the item for, and the 30 cents you'd pay to eBay for the fixed order costs. and then you divide that by 1 minus the eBay fee rate. So the eBay fee the rate that you would have to pay to eBay, any sponsored fee rate, and then also minus any tax rate that you'd pay. And that will give you the break-even price. Don't be too scared now, because I'll show you shortly a spreadsheet which calculates everything for you and gives you those details. Alright, let's now jump into the spreadsheet. Now, this is what I was talking about, something that would help you when you're calculating those fees. Now, breaking down the eBay Australia fee structure, you can see there's quite a few tiers there. So there's tier 1 categories, where if it's in a certain category and it's over a certain amount, then you have certain fees, and it depends also on the stores that you have to, the store package that you have as well. So there's so many different rates that can apply that is used to calculate the eBay fee. And then on top of that as well, if you go over 4,000, the fee gets capped and then gets applied at 2.5%. So there's quite a few fees that need to be considered. And when you break it down a little more detail, what you can also see is eBay breaks it down to a next level where each category will have different fees. So you can see all the different subcategories may be subjected to a different type of fee compared to if you had one in tier 1 versus tier 4. So you can see here camera drones would be subjected to a tier 4 value fee, whereas camcorders will be affected to a tier 1 only if it's $250. So you can see it can get a bit confusing depending on the category you choose and what you use to sell. Now, what we have here, which will make it so much more easier, is we start looking at what does it mean to actually sell a product and the prices that we can sell it for. So there's two different variations here that you can keep in mind. Here is you can have it where you just have the set percentage fee, so you just put a flat fee, you don't care about the categories, and you take that as the average across any item you sell. Or we can actually use it and go down to a category level. Now, it's up to preference. It just depends on which ones you find easy to use. Now, jumping to a few examples to show you the power of using a calculator to work out your eBay selling prices and the profits. So let's take this one for example, and we're going to say an item costs $300. Let's say it's free postage is what we're charging the customer, so it's already built into the selling price. We've got a basic store. We're not going to be promoting the listing. Now, if we're looking at the categories, we're going to take a home appliances category. So if we scroll down to home appliances, it's telling us we need category 2 as well. So we'll pick a category 2. Let's just take heating, cooling, and air. And we need a category 3 as well. So we're going to place it in heating, cooling, and appliances. So immediately you can see it's already worked out that we're going to be charged a 7.3% fee for this item. Now, when we work out the profit and everything, we'll add in the item cost. So let's say our item only costs us $100, getting some good margins on this, and it cost us $15.95 to ship. Now, we're not offering any other discounts. Say we're going to pay a 10% tax rate. You can see immediately that you've got a green bar telling you you're making a profit. And then you can see the breakdown there. It's telling you you're making $300 from it. You're paying $22.20 for fees. And the way it's calculated that is it's taken the 300 times by the 7% rate plus the 30-cent fee that you would pay to give you the $22.20. It knows you're paying $100 for the item cost, $15.95 for the actual postage, and it's worked out that there's also $30 we'll have to pay in tax. Now, using all those numbers, it's crunched it and it's figured out from this item when we sell it, we're going to be making $131.85 in profit. That's profit into our pockets. Now, this is the power of those metrics I was talking about before. Now, profit margin gets calculated here, telling us that from the $300 that the customer paid us, 44% of it comes back to us. So if my metrics were I only needed 20%, you can see I'm smashing my target here because this is giving me double the amount of profit that I would normally have expected from my other sales. Similarly, you can see here the return on investment. Got an ROI of 1.32. This is telling me that for every $1 that I spent in the item costs, I'm going to make $1.32 in profit, which is exactly what has happened here. And then lastly, the one that I didn't want you getting scared over, break-even price. You can see here, it's telling me that if I had this item, the $100 item, and I had to pay $15.95 for shipping, my break-even price would be $140.57. So I would need to sell it at a minimum $140 to make any profit. So that way I know if I need to get rid of this item, I can even put it at $140 and I'm not having a loss in my financials for it. Now, we'll take one more example just to show, well, the power of it. If we look at an item and we say, all right, a new item is $5,200. Now, the reason why this is important is when you look at it as rates, remember how when it goes over $4,000, you then only pay 2.5% for every dollar above $4,000. So let's just say we take sporting goods here. So we'll scroll down to sporting goods. We're changing our store to a anchor store. So let's just say we're on the highest tier package for it. What's category 2? So we're going to take archery, and category 3, we want bows. So you can see immediately it's saying, all right, if we're going to list in that category, we have to pay 10.10% selling rate. Now, when you start crunching the numbers, you can see immediately it's already calculated and told me this is how much profit I'm making. Now, this is a whopping amount for that item cost, but it gives you a view of what you'd make if you had this item. Now, when you look at the eBay fee, the $434.30, and the way that's calculated is it's pretty much gone 10.10% off the $4,000, as that's the cap for the selling price. It knows there's another $1,200 extra above that $4,000, and that $1,200 gets charged at the 2.5%. That's $434, and then you have 30 cents extra for the fee. And then you can see it calculates it all the way down to give you again the profit margin, what the ROI is, and even the break-even price. So what do you need to sell this item again to make a $0 profit? Now, we have simplified it a bit as well. Let's just say you don't want to have it so that you have to look for the categories every time. You can take an average. So you could look at the type of store you are and say, all right, I'm going to sell the majority of my items in tier 2. So I don't need to worry too much about selecting categories. All right, so we've set the rate at 10%, just to say generically across the board for any category we're going to sell. We're going to sell at 10%. Now you can see here, we can put in the price again, $300, free shipping. We're not paying any promoted ad rates. We've got a fixed order fee at 30 cents. We'll take 10%, and we're going to say it's $100 again and $15.95 for shipping. You can see immediately we're in the green again. It's telling us you're making a profit, and it's saying 41% profit margin, 1.24 ROI. So again, the beauty of it is don't need to worry about selecting categories, but you essentially put in the rate that you think you'd work with and then work from there. You can always use the eBay rates table to help guide what the proper rate you should use to work that out. So that's about it for today. So we'll place all the links in the description below if you want to have access to this file. Any questions, pop it in the comments, but thanks for listening to another video from E-Commerce for Success.